Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Might I Add, where we discuss all things UCF sports. Joining me today is HCF vet Connor Dowd. Connor, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. A lot of wins for UCF this weekend. Let's jump right in.
It was a big weekend. There were a lot of games, and we've got a lot to talk about today, so we'll get right to it. And we'll start with UCF football. UCF looked to rebound from their loss to Pitt this weekend when they hosted the UConn Huskies for the last time as conference foes. And boy, did UCF rebound in a big way, winning the game 56-21. The Knights' defense hammered UConn early, racking up 4 turnovers, 2 of which came in the first 2 UConn drives. Connor, tell me how the defense was able to have this much success against UConn.
It was mainly through the pressure. They forced Steven Krajewski, the UConn quarterback, out of the pocket a lot, forced 4 turnovers, as you said, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and Neville Clark had a pick 6 in the first quarter. That's huge. Especially last weekend, not a lot of pressure on the defensive line, which led to a lot of big runs for Pittsburgh. Not this week, though. Held them to a low-scoring game for UConn, of course, UCF 56. But yeah, it was a very good defensive game for UCF.
So we talked last week a little bit about how UConn had not thrown a touchdown pass going into this game. So the kind of the feel was that the defense was going to have a big game, the secondary in particular, and sure enough, there's the first pick 6 of the season.
Yep.
So can we talk about what the defense can take away from this and how they can use this momentum to carry into the next week?
Yeah, I think it's just confidence. I mean, UConn, not a great team, but we play a lot of conference games upcoming, and we really need to roll this strong, defensive, aggressive style of play into the next couple of games. That'll really steamroll us, hopefully jump up a couple spots with a couple wins here and there. It could really help our season and turn it around, maybe get a New Year's Six Bowl in the end.
So 56 points and 8 different Knights scored touchdowns. How important is it for us to spare the ball?
Huge. Gabe Davis, he cannot do it all. The man had 3 touchdowns, 119 yards, an absolute monster. But it's good to see other guys, Killings, Bentavious Thompson, also getting a touchdown here and there. Big win for UCF, and especially with all these guys scoring like McCray, you see a lot more of the run game developing too, which helps a ton.
So let's talk a little bit more about Gabe Davis. He had a monster game. He's clearly emerged as the number 1 receiver for UCF. And how does this help his future draft stock and his ability to compete and perform as a Knight this season?
As a Knight, I mean, he's a big guy, but he's also really quick, which is very underestimated about him. He gets off the line quick, and he has 8 touchdowns already, 499 yards, 7 touchdowns last year total. I mean, he's already improved tremendously, beating it in the first 4 games of the season, which is ridiculous. So, I mean, especially with the draft coming up, he's a big guy. NFL, they love big guys. I think he'll go in the draft. If he stays, he'll have another monster year, but, I mean, if he's healthy, why not go to the draft?
So, a big part of UCF's loss last week was the rushing game.
Yeah.
They had 85 total yards. Terrible. This week, however, they rebounded. They had 230 rushing yards. Adrian Killens was the leading rusher. He had that 175-yard monster run, but he only rushed for 77 total yards on the game. So can we talk about the use of Adrian Killens on this team?
I mean, that's just sharing the ball. You have to get the ball to McCray, give it to Bentavious Thompson. They all had, I think, 60, 70 yards apiece, which is big. I mean, you can't overwork Killens a lot. He's our best back by far, but I mean, when you get somebody else in there, get fresh legs, keep the sticks moving on 3rd down, especially with those other 2 running backs, it's going to take some of the load off him, help him out, and then he's going to break out the big one. You already know.
So a game like this, it really makes you think about their mantra 1-0. They just had their first regular season loss in 2 seasons, and now they come back and they put up 56 points in a blowout. How serious is UCF about this 1-0 mantra?
I mean, it's down to their core. UCF going 1-0 every day is how they live. Heupel, obviously, very good inspiration to the team. And when you lose to Pitt like that in a fashion that you did on a trick play after a rough first half, I mean, you have to think about the next day. Hey, it's 1 game. It kind of hurts the season a lot, but I mean, hey, we still want to know. We still have to play the rest of the season. It's not over for us. We still want to make a good game, make a good bowl game, and we still want to win out. So 1-0 every day. That's how you got to live.
And then a little more big news as far as national rankings and recognition goes. UCF moved up to 18th, which is now just 2 spots behind Boise. So the storyline going into this week was Boise had to lose in order for UCF to get a New Year's Six. Well, now you're looking at UCF. They play at Cincinnati, they play at Temple, and a possible American Championship game against Memphis or SMU, and Boise plays BYU, and that's it.
Yeah.
So does UCF necessarily need Boise to even lose anymore to get a New Year's Six game?
I think they need to. I think they need to lose one. I mean, an undefeated record for Boise, especially if they beat BYU, I think that'll propel them enough to get them into that New Year's Six bowl. UCF has got to be the top-ranked non-Power 5 conference team, and with that, like, you need Boise to lose. Utah even is up there as well. Utah could jump into the mix if they win out and play a really good season. So we'll see how it plays out, but UCF does have a chance. It's not over for them to get in the New Year's Six bowl.
So you hear it here. UCF still in the running, lot to go, long season, but they are in the running and they do have a chance. So despite the big win, however, UCF has another really difficult game coming up this week. The Knights will travel to Cincinnati to play the Bearcats on Friday night in Nippert Stadium. Cincinnati is now sitting at a record of 3-1, and they've won 2 straight games after their blowout loss to Ohio State. So what has Cincinnati done to kind of get their minds off of that Ohio State game and rebound, both physically and mentally?
I mean, it's simple. It's been running the ball and rushing the quarterback. Their defensive line, monstrous on the attack. A lot of sacks this year already. And running the ball. Their past 2 games, over 230 yards each game, compared to 85 in the Ohio State game, which is a really low number for them. They need to run the ball. They need to open up that play action. They run a lot of shotgun, so expect a lot of draws, a lot of play action and screen passes. But Cincinnati's looking real good this year. And if UCF goes into this game like they went into the game against Pitt, it's not going to go out well for them.
So, again, Cincinnati, a large part of their offense comes from the ground. Mm-hmm. And in their last 2 games since Ohio State, they've been averaging 232 rushing yards per game. What does UCF have to do to limit that?
Just getting pressure. I mean, you really have to penetrate with the defensive line. If they don't get any push early, it's going to open up the run game for the whole game, and that's going to open up the pass game. Ritter is a good passing quarterback. He's a better running quarterback as well. And if they don't get pressure up front early with the defensive line, it's going to be a long game for the Knights secondary, especially because they want to push up, defend the run, but they won't be able to.
So it's a short week for UCF. Yeah. They got to play on Friday night in a very hostile environment. It's going to be family weekend for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
How can UCF tune out the noise and just focus on each play at a time and end up eventually trying to get that 1-0?
I mean, Nippert Stadium, it's a legendary stadium. Last time UCF went up there, I think it was 52-16, absolute blowout. But I mean, Cincinnati's still upset. Last year, embarrassed them on College Game Day, an absolute monster of a game. So they really need to go into that with that mindset of 1-0. They have to win this game. They can't focus on the conference championship. I mean, if Cincinnati beats us, they jump us in the East, and that's really going to be really hard to come back by. Cincinnati does play a couple tough games. Houston, ECU are potential losses for them. But, I mean, I think they're good enough to beat everyone else in the conference.
So real quick, what's your favorite matchup in this game to watch out for?
I really like Alex Pierce versus Richie Grant. Alex Pierce, Cincinnati's number 1 receiver. He's got 1 TD, 277 yards. He's their go-to guy. And Richie Grant, he's got, I think, 24 tackles, 9 pass deflections. It's going to be a really good matchup if they do one-on-one. And let's just face it, if Alex Pierce can get open down the middle after that run game opens up, it's going to be a long night for the DBs. But I think that'll be a good matchup to watch, especially if they try to throw the ball more.
So UCF, going to be a fun one on Friday. Well, now we're going to be moving on to women's soccer, who played possibly the toughest game of the weekend for the Knights when they played Memphis at home. However, it was a close game. The entire time it was close. The result was a 1-0 win for Memphis, but that goal came on a controversial score. Connor, can we just talk about what that goal meant and really if it was the right call?
I mean, Samantha Murphy's goal in the 33rd minute, it was a tough goal, and the thing is, you go right into half down 1-0, and to come back from that as a soccer team, it's already tough enough to score a goal, but to score 2 to try to get that win, it's tough. And then that goal, I don't know. After watching it a couple times, you really, maybe it was just bad angle and nothing the goalie could do.
So going into the game, however, Memphis was outscoring opponents 27-3.
Yeah.
And UCF only gave up that one controversial goal. They actually outshot Memphis 12-9.
Yep.
So what does this say about the offense, even in a loss? How has the offense continued to improve?
I think we're still getting the attacks. I think we had 7 corner kicks, which is a lot of opportunities, and they really just need to keep attacking. They want that aggressive style. Our head coach is really pushing, hey, we need to score the ball. We need to shoot. We need to get shots on goal. The problem with 12 shots, though, only 2 shots on goal, I believe. Not a lot, but still, we can improve. From those 12 shots, we can keep improving.
And you mentioned corner kicks, and I want to talk about that really quick. The Knights had 7 corner kicks.
Yep.
Memphis only had 1. but they weren't able to convert any of this. And where can UCF improve on their set pieces going into the next couple of games? Because that is a huge area where if they can succeed in that, then that is a really dangerous team.
Yep. I think you just need more precision on the corners. Get Zandy Sori in the mix more. Get your midfielders, get them to push up, maybe jump into the box a little bit. They just need more precision. I think that's going to come over time, especially with they play more conference teams upcoming. That'll come, and I'm not too worried about the amount of corner kicks they make in. It's just keep getting those chances, and one will fall.
Yep. So it was a tough loss, but UCF was able to get over it pretty quickly, having to face Tulsa on Sunday. UCF easily dispatched the Golden Hurricane 3-0 in the contest. And once again, Zandy Sori scored for the Knights, and it looks like she may actually be UCF's greatest weapon on offense. So what are your thoughts on Zandy's performance and how she's able to really emerge herself as this number one threat?
I mean, she's playing really well. I think 5 goals on the season, 1 assist, 11 total points. She's a monster out there. Whenever she gets the ball, she just draws so many defenders, so much attention. Her and Kristen Scott both have 5 goals, but Zandy, whenever she gets the ball, it's just something different. And that's going to really open up the field for other players to start scoring. But her season is incredible. I think she has 27 shots, 5 goals, as I said. I mean, she's having a really good season. She just needs to keep getting the ball, keep getting touches.
And you're absolutely right about that, opening up for other players to score, giving them opportunities, because both Talia Gabara and Asia Irvin scored their first goals ever as Knights in this game against Tulsa. So how important is it for the offense going forward to not just be a 2-woman demolition crew and instead have multiple Knights scoring?
Oh, it's huge. And especially with Zandy getting the touches, Kristen Scott getting the touches, they open up the field so much that these other midfielders, these wings, can come in and sneak in a goal on a good pass. And that's going to really help them with conference play going forward. More people that see the back of the net, more goals are going to score. Especially, Zandy knows how to score. Let's be real. She knows how to score. Let's get some other girls the opportunity, and they're going to start putting them in the back.
UCF, 25 shots against Tulsa. How are they able to get this many shots? That's a ridiculous number.
Ridiculous. They had 8 corner kicks. The midfielders were really pushing up the wings, and there were a lot of long passing, which was very precise, down the sides, which really opened up the center of the field. They were able to cross it in, get some nice touches. It was a really good game offensively, really aggressive. A 3-0 game is also a really good resume builder, especially with conference play going forward.
And as you said, it is conference play, which means the saying goes, out of the frying pan and into the fire. And this week is certainly living up to that for the women's team, because after they had to play Memphis this past week, the Knights now have to go on the road to take on nationally ranked SMU. The Mustangs are coming off a road trip in Oklahoma, where they actually knocked off Oklahoma 3-2 in overtime and tied Oklahoma State 2-2. So Connor, what challenge does SMU pose to UCF?
They're just like Memphis, a lot of high-scoring teams. They'll get a lot of touches, they'll get a lot of shots on goal. They have some really good goal scorers. Allie Thornton with 9 goals on the season, ridiculous. And they have 2 other girls with 4 goals apiece, which is going to be hard to stop. Caroline De La Seal is in for a game, especially if the defense can kind of pack it in the box and help her out a little bit. She's gonna have a really good game. She's playing great so far this season, and SMU poses a challenge. A lot of shots, and their defense is very stellar as well.
So let's talk a little bit about Allie Thornton. She's got 9 goals, and she tends to score in flurries, though. In their game against Northern Colorado, she scored 4. And then in her game against Oklahoma, she put in 2 out of the 3 goals. So what do the Knights have to do to limit her and keep her really out of the goal?
I think you just need to limit the amount of touches she gets. Keep her on the wings if you can. Double team her when she gets the ball, but you don't want to draw too much attention to that. That's going to open up some scoring for the other people on the team, especially when she gets the ball, though. The defenders are going to automatically just be like, hey, that's Allie Thornton. We got to get the ball from her. And that's not what you want to do. You want to keep her back. You don't want to let her get behind you. No long crosses in. But yeah, if they can keep her in front of her, limit the touches, they'll be fine.
So what's going to happen? What's UCF going to have to do besides limiting Thornton's touches to win this game?
I really think they're going to have to pack in the box on defense, just like against Memphis. They're going to have to play really good defense, and then they're going to have to be aggressive especially on turnovers. They're going to have to just go down the field, try to get some quick shots, put the shots on net. They'll fall.
So it should be exciting. Big week for UCF women's soccer. Well, like the women's soccer team, though, the men are also coming off of a win of their own, which makes it 5 in a row now. This time, that dub came at the expense of the Temple Owls, and UCF won the game 2-0. But for the first time since the season opener, Cal Jennings didn't score for UCF. Instead, it was Yanni Sorokin and Jonas Schmalbach that led the charge, and each of them scored 1 goal apiece. So Connor, how important is it for the Knights to not have to rely just on Cal?
Oh, it's huge. Cal Jennings obviously having a monster season, 8 goals already, but it's also good. Schmalbach got his first career goal, and especially when we get deeper into conference play, you're going to want to see some other guys start scoring. They're going to put a lot of attention on Cal. It's good for Yoni to get some goals, Schmalbach to get his first goal, may lead to some more. Gino Vivi, I think he has 2 or 3 goals so far. It's going to be huge, especially going forward. And when we get deeper in the season, you want other guys scoring. You want them to have those opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net.
So UCF, the men's team, is an offensive juggernaut. No one's debating that. They're a ridiculously powerful scoring offense. But there was a problem in the game against Temple. They only had 2 assists.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a problem as far as sharing the ball because the vast majority of the points do come from Cal Jennings. So what's UCF going to have to do to start sharing the ball better?
They're just going to have to open up the field more. They're going to have to bring the wings forward. They're going to have to let Cal Jennings kind of sit back a little and try to get some more passing in. Cal Jennings doesn't have an assist this season, which is fine because he has 8 goals. But he just really needs to start opening up the field, letting some of the other guys get in on the action, passing more. And especially with the aggressive offense that we run, it'll be nice to get some more crosses in, try to get some headers, and then just keep opening up the field. It'll help a lot.
And it was the second shutout in a row for UCF. Mm-hmm. So what's the defense been doing so well?
They've just been really, really playing tight, stellar defense. Their takeaways have been insanely phenomenal the past 2 games, and that leads to 2 clean sheets for the goalie. If they just keep doing that, they play tight defense, they don't make a lot of mental mistakes, which is big. You can make physical mistakes, which can be made up for, but mental mistakes, that'll kill you, and we've been really sharp mentally on defense.
It has been pretty fun to watch. The men's team gets another home game this week, however, with the FAU Owls coming to visit. UCF has been fantastic at home this season, and that's an understatement, with 4 wins and 1 tie. How can UCF continue to that level of dominance, though, at home?
It's just a lot of shots, a lot of offensive opportunities for the team, and especially FAU. They've played 1 road game this season. They're 3-3 on the year. They're not doing too well. Their goalies have each let in 7 goals apiece, and they've only scored 7, so not a good ratio there. If we just keep shooting, they're going to fall.
So let's talk a little bit about their road experience. Like you said, they've only played 1 true road game this season, and that was a loss to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So what does that give the Knights as far as advantages?
I mean, if you can't win at home, you can't win on the road. They're 3-2 at home, which is not great at all, and they're 0-1 on the road. The Knights are going to have, hopefully, a packed house when they play, and I don't think the FAU Owls are ready to come to UCF after a loss to Kentucky 3-0 or 0-3. Especially like now that we're getting later into conference play, they're going to have to go on the road more. I think they're not going to play well, and it's going to lead to a big game for UCF.
Now, there is one thing to note for FAU that that has been a really big bright spot, especially against their last matchup against FGCU, and that's the goalkeeper, Hagai Alon.
Yeah.
He had 8 saves, which is a lot of saves in any single game. So what's UCF going to have to do to throw him off?
They're going to have to pass the ball more. Cal Jennings cannot take it up himself. He can't rush through 6 defenders. They're going to have to get him off his mark, pass the ball across the box, and just try to get him moving so they can get easier open goals. Different angles will help too, especially with these crosses coming in. Cal Jennings could really open up the field with some really good passing this week.
And then real quick, what's your one matchup that you want to watch in this game?
I would say the goalkeeper matchup is a big one because obviously 2 clean sheets coming in. Their goalie is really good as well. I think whoever has the better game will win the game, and that'll be huge going further in the season. Just the confidence of either goalkeeper. FAU could still have a good season. They just have to turn it around right now.
So it's going to be an exciting game. Again, they're playing at home on Tuesday. So last week brought us 7 different home sporting events for UCF. But this week it'll be a little bit more about how our teams can play on the road. UCF football is going to travel to Cincinnati on Friday, and the women's soccer team is going to take their talents to the state of Texas, where they'll play against SMU on Thursday and then Houston on Sunday. The men's team, as I said, is going to host FAU on Tuesday, before they go and play SMU on Sunday. And finally, the volleyball team will travel to Cincinnati on Friday and play East Carolina on Sunday in Greenville. And before we wrap things up real quick, I want to talk about a quick shout-out to one of UCF's teams that doesn't really get a whole lot of talk around campus, and that's the cross-country team. They hosted the UCF Invitational on Friday, and they won first place as the team in the event, and it marked the 3rd straight top 10 finish for the Knights this season. Runners Jessica Dolan and Jamie Tomasetti both finished in the top 3 overall runners, so congrats, ladies. Keep it going. It's been an awesome season. And as always, Connor, I love it. Appreciate your time. Your input's been awesome.
It's been a pleasure, man.
And thank you, everyone who is watching me. And it's been a great day, and we hope that it's just going to continue to get better from here. Be sure to like and comment on our YouTube page, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Hitting the Field. I'm Partain. This is Connor Dowd, and we'll catch you next week on Might I Add.